The hospital said they couldn't keep me any longer just for recovery, so my 4 children promised they would take turns caring for me. 15 days later, the nurse told me I was being discharged. I called an Uber myself. My name is Kimberly, 72 years old, a widow. They thought I had nothing left. They had no idea what I had quietly kept all along. I was never the kind of person who complained. I raised 4 children, Richard, Lucy, Mark, and my youngest, Brian, with the belief that God helps those who help themselves. My husband Albert used to say I had the soul of a manager. While he ran our small mechanical workshop, I kept the books, tracked every expense, and recorded every dollar we earned from the 3 rental apartments we had saved up to buy back in the 80s. "They're old houses, Kimberly," he would say, "but they're our safety net." When the doctor told me I needed hip surgery, it felt like the world was collapsing. "This is a major operation, Mrs. Kimberly," he said. "Recovery will take time. You'll need someone by your side for several weeks." I called my children over for Sunday lunch. The smell of roasted chicken and potatoes filled the kitchen, the dish they used to call the best in the world. Sitting at the same table where they grew up, I broke the news. Their reactions came immediately. "Don't worry, Mom," said Richard, my oldest, an engineer. "We'll take turns staying with you." Lucy, my only daughter, held my hand. "I'll be with you the first few days. That's when you'll need me most." "I'll come midweek," added Mark, my consultant son, "and I'll visit at the weekend," said Brian from another city, his tone confident. "We'll take care of everything, Mom. You'll never be alone." Tears of relief filled my eyes. What I feared wasn't the anesthesia, it was the loneliness. But my children had promised. I went into the hospital at peace. The surgery, I went well. I woke up in pain, hoping to see a familiar face. But on the first day, no one came. The chair beside my bed stayed empty. "They're probably organizing their schedules," I told myself. On the second day, still no one. I called Lucy. The phone rang endlessly before going to voicemail. I texted, "Sweetheart, I'm thirsty." "The nurse says I need help sitting up." 2 hours later came her reply, "Sorry, Mom, I'm so busy. I'll ask Mark to call you. Love you." But Mark never came. In the following days, only the beeping of monitors and nurses' footsteps echoed through the room. I learned to tell time by the smell of hospital food, the watery soup at noon, the tea and cookies at night. On the 5th day, I texted Brian, "Son, why haven't you come to visit me?" He replied, "Plane tickets are too expensive, Mom, but I'm sending you positive energy." That was all I heard from my 4 children. On the 7th day, the head nurse, a young woman named Hannah, walked in while I was struggling to brush my hair. She stopped, looked at me, and gently approached. "Let me help you," she said softly, untangling my silver hair with care. Then she asked in a low voice, "Mrs. Kimberly, may I ask, do you have family?" That question hurt more than the incision. I froze. "Of course," I whispered. "I have 4 children." She stayed quiet, offering a sad smile as she adjusted my pillow. "If you need anything, just ring the bell. I'll come." And she always did. It was Hannah who held my hand when the physical therapist helped me stand for the first time, when the pain nearly made me faint. She brought me a small piece of cake on the day I started walking again. From my children, I received only short texts. "You okay, Mom? Get well soon." 15 days passed. The doctor came in smiling. "Congratulations, Mrs. Kimberly. You've recovered. You can go home. Call your family to pick you up." My heart jumped. They'll come now, I thought. But when I called Richard, voicemail. Lucy, voicemail. Mark, unreachable. Brian, the phone rang endlessly. No answer. The doctor came back and asked, "Have they arrived?" I replied softly. "They're busy, but it's fine. I can manage." Hannah's sympathetic eyes made my throat tighten. She helped me pack my bag and put on a clean coat. "Would you like me to call a taxi for you?" she asked. "No, thank you. I know how to use the app. I'll call an Uber." And so I left the hospital on my own, hands gripping the walker, my hip still aching. The Uber driver, a young man about my grandson's age, rushed to open the door. "Oh, ma'am, let me help you." He placed my suitcase in the trunk and helped me sit gently. "Do you live alone?" he asked. "I have 4 children," I replied. The words tasted bitter, like a cruel joke. When we reached my house, everything was silent. He helped me out and carried my suitcase to the door. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" "I'll be fine, thank you." I smiled faintly and closed the door. The musty smell of an empty house greeted me. I turned on the lights. The glow fell on the picture frames: Richard, Lucy, Mark, and Brian, smiling at graduations, Christmas, birthdays. I shuffled into the kitchen and opened the fridge. Inside were half a bottle of water, a dried lemon, and an open jar of butter. In that moment, the abandonment became painfully clear. It wasn't just that they hadn't come to the hospital, they hadn't even thought about what their mother would eat when she came home. I sat at the table where roasted chicken once filled the air, my heart cold. The tears were gone, replaced by a rising fury. They didn't think I was worth caring for, but they still thought I was worth borrowing from. I went to my room, opened a drawer. Albert's black notebook was still there, the one where I recorded everything. I flipped it open. Rent from. Apartment number 2, where Lucy's son lived, was 3 months late. "Mom, hold on to it for me. My clinic is slow right now," Lucy had said. There was also the money I'd lent Richard to fix his roof and buy a car 6 months with no repayment. Mark was still under my health insurance because his own plan was too expensive. And Brian, well, I still sent him money every month, even though he was 35. They hadn't abandoned me because they were busy. They abandoned me because I was no longer useful. I was just a silent ATM. My phone vibrated. Lucy was calling. I answered, my voice no longer trembling but calm, managerial. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Richard said you were discharged. Why didn't you call? I'll come get you." "No need," I replied quietly. "I came home by Uber." "Oh my God, that's dangerous. Have you eaten?" "I'm home, but the fridge is empty. I swear I'll go grocery shopping tomorrow. Don't worry." "No need, Lucy. By the way, tell Richard to pay back the 6-month debt and make sure your son pays the rent before noon tomorrow." "Mom, what's going on? From now on, things will be different." "I'm not a bank anymore." I hung up. My hands were shaking not from weakness, but from the strength returning to them. I looked at the black notebook. 15 days of loneliness had taught me more than 70 years of giving ever did. If you're not someone's priority, make yourself your own center. I picked up the phone not to call my children, but my late husband's lawyer. "Hello, Mr. Miller. This is Kimberly. I need to see you urgently. I want to review some property papers and one more thing. I looked at the photos on the shelf. I want to change my will. That first night home was long. My hip throbbed, but the cold from the empty fridge was what kept me awake. Abandonment has the bitter taste of spoiled food. When the pale dawn broke, my decision was made. The fragile woman from yesterday had stayed in that Uber. The woman who woke up today had a stitched hip and a to-do list. It took me 20 minutes to walk from the bedroom to the kitchen with my walker. The pain burned, but anger fueled me. I opened the fridge, looked at the dried lemon, and said to myself, if I can order an Uber, I can order coffee.